Do you know whether Director Clapper knew the name of the U.S. citizen that appeared in the New York Times and Washington Post?
I can't say in this forum because, again, I don't want to confirm that there was classified information in the newspaper.
Would he have access to an unmasked name?
In some circumstances, sure.
Would Director Brennan have access to an unmasked U.S. citizen's name?
In some circumstances, yes.
Would former White House advisor Ben Rhodes have access to an unmasked U.S. citizen's name?
I don't know the answer to that.
Could you find out? South Carolina Congressman Trey Gowdy is joining us right now from Washington. He's a member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, which is why he got in the door with his special pass and was able to ask those questions. Congressman, why were you running down those lists of Obama officials?
Well, I started, Brian, with the NSA, and the testimony was there were 20 folks there. And in a previous conversation with Director Comey, not yesterday, we identified the universe of people at the FBI. So I'm trying to find that discrete universe of people who had access to the name. You and I are not on that list. So that will save the FBI the trouble of coming and interviewing you and interviewing me. But I'm trying to help the public and Director Comey kind of narrow down the universe of people who would have had access to the information to then leak it.
When he came out and made his initial, after you guys made your speeches, after Devin Nunes came out and Congressman Schiff came out and made their opening remarks, he was asked, you know, why, basically, what are your remarks? I want to confirm that there's an investigation going on to the role of Russia in the last election and any type of relationship with the Trump organization. Was that new news to you?
It was not. It should not have been new news to anyone on House Intel. Again, the beauty of Intel is we do our work behind closed doors, and you have access to information that perhaps other members don't have. You just can't talk about it. So that was not a surprise to me.
So what did we learn from yesterday? What did Trey Gowdy, the prosecutor, learn from yesterday?
I learned it's really tough to run serious quasi-criminal or criminal investigations in a public setting, which is why it's never done, except in Washington. I think the most troubling part for me was when Director Comey would not assure us that there's a leak investigation. He was more than happy to assure us that there's an investigation into the potential ties between the Trump campaign and Russia, which may or may not be a crime. Leaking of classified information is a crime, but he would not confirm that investigation.
Would you also, are you surprised that there's no interest in John Podesta's perhaps investment in a company that Vladimir Putin was invested in that was turned over to his daughter? I think John Podesta played a major role.
You know, I don't know, and I'm not supposed to know, and I hope the FBI is working on lots and lots of things involved in this fact pattern that no one knows about, because that's a sign to me of the integrity of the investigation. But I have no idea what Director Comey knows and what the women and men of the FBI are working on.
What about Roger Stone and some others, Paul Manafort and others, were somehow in contact with Russians, and they might deny it, but in Roger Stone's case, he direct tweeted Guccifer. He was praising Julian Assange. What do you think? What role do you think they played with Trump? What role do you think they played in this entire thing, from what you can tell us?
Don't know, and won't be able to answer that question until the Bureau interviews the names you just mentioned. There are times in life where people claim to have a connection or a nexus with folks, and that is not borne out factually. You will never hear me compliment Julian Assange or WikiLeaks. And I'm disappointed in anyone who does. But the FBI has access to far more information even than House Intel, and they're pursuing an investigation. And what I told him at the end yesterday, Brian, is there's a vacuum right now. And politicians will fill that vacuum. So the sooner you conclude your investigation, the better it is for the American people.
And finally, I know I'm up against a hard break and you have to run, but when do you think this will be done from your professional standpoint after we saw prior investigations? We've got a month, weeks?
You know, yesterday I commented to Chairman Nunes that it only took 8 days to go through all of Secretary Clinton's emails between the first letter and the second letter. I hope, and I'm sure Director Comey knows the gravity of this investigation from a constitutional perspective, and I'm sure they will do it as quickly as possible, but it depends upon the evidence and the number of witnesses and the number of documents.
Somehow, if there's a big story in Washington, Congressman Trey Gowdy's in the middle of it. So thank you.
Hi, this is Sharon reporting from Bad News Media. Thanks for subscribing to our channel and giving us a thumbs up. We really appreciate your support. Please feel free to leave us a comment and share this video with your friends. Thank you.